Right, before I start, I know there's a lot of you that play fantasy football. There's a code in the description below. It puts you in the Hammers Chat mini league. I say mini league. There's loads of you in there. It is no way is it a mini league. And quite frankly, if you win this, you've done something quite special because there's loads of people in it. I'm useless, but I just got to try and remember to actually do my team every week this season, and I might stand a fighting chance of not coming last. A little tip: keep your eye out for Mike. Mike Manera, Mike on Monday. He's actually quite good at this fantasy football malarkey. Maybe he knows more about football than it looks like. Maybe he knows a little bit more than a man scratching around on a pretend football pitch with some Subbuteo players and a large T-Rex. Anyway, just to try and sort of lift the spirits, so to speak, and I may well depress myself in the process of doing so. This goes back to the preview that I've just done with you. I've literally just done it about half an hour ago. He asked if I was confident. I said, "Oh no, 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 Gio. How can you be confident about this? Bearing in mind everything that's gone on with the club and so on and so forth." And as I'm sure, if you're watching this, you probably watched the preview as well. He said, "And your prediction for the game, please?" I said, "West Ham 2, Newcastle 1." I predicted us to win. Foolish, maybe. Optimistic, yes. Hopeful, yes. Am I confident of that? No, I'm not. But I gave my reasoning, which was I felt that we'd finished last season pretty damn strongly, and the team has stayed the same. Now, whilst the team and all the good bits surrounding the team have remained the same, obviously the bad bits have remained the same. And as Gio made a great point, which was that Newcastle are strong in wide positions and fast in wide positions, it has to be said, and we're poor and slow, which is why I would have included Ryan Fredericks in there. But I just thought it might be a good time to have a look at what we're good at, and I'm aware that I might look very very foolish come the end of the weekend, but I'm sure many people are predicting a West Ham loss anyway. So you know what, I've got nothing to lose in that respect. First of all, the first big plus I do think for us is Mikel Antonio. Mikel Antonio is one of the form players in the Premier League, and I think you can take form into account, bearing in mind that it was only a month ago, more or less, was it 5, 6 weeks, something like that, that the season stopped. He's looked pretty sharp in the couple of preseason games we've had, albeit he did get a massive knock. He fell very, very heavily as a man of his massive physique is going to do so when he hit the deck, but he appears to be all right. This guy's a nightmare for defenders. They don't want to. They don't want to play. It reminds me. I think it was Neil Warnock maybe described Yannick Bolasie. I think it might have been. Or was it no Sam Allardyce? Sorry, described Yannick Bolasie, who was at Crystal Palace at the time, went to sign for big money for Everton. Disappeared. What's happened to Yannick Bolasie, by the way? He said Yannick Bolasie doesn't know what he's going to do next. So how can the opponents? And I'm not entirely sure Mikel Antonio knows what he's going to do next. But I tell you what, he's got his technique is getting better. I feel a little bit sorry for Antonio that he didn't maybe hit the professional game a little bit earlier and have some of that academy time that other players have benefited from. Because I think his technique would be so much better by now. But he's got better technique than we give him credit for. He's got a good eye for goal, strong, fast. I don't know. It doesn't matter. You don't need to tell you what Mikel Antonio is like. I'm just saying. I think it's a reason to be positive ahead of the Newcastle game. And however good Newcastle defenders think they are, they will not be relishing playing against Mikel Antonio. I do think Declan Rice has got a massive point to prove to everybody. I think he's got a point to prove to West Ham. I think he's got a point to prove to Chelsea if he does want to go there. And let's be fair, he probably does, be it now, next season, or the season after. I also think he's got a massive point to prove to Gareth Southgate. Now, I'm not going to pretend that I watched much of those England games, but as far as I know, they were quite insipid performances, and I've read enough to know that Declan Rice came under a bit of criticism both those games. I'm also aware enough to know that that Phillips is grabbing hold of his coattails. Quite frankly, he's putting his place at risk. There are other options. Is my point for Declan Rice's position, if indeed it is Declan Rice's position. He's going to want to prove everybody. So, but I think we're going to have a motivated Declan Rice. And let's not forget, this guy has been voted our Hammer of the Year. Some people might have thought it was Ogbonna. Some people Declan Rice. But me and Gio do our player ratings for the Patreon channel, and we often give him man of the match. He's a very, very good player, and I can really see him with Souček alongside him, who I'll talk about in a second, and then the one other. Now, I hope it's Fornals, but it might be Noble. We don't. But I can see with a three, I think we can control the midfield area of that pitch. I really do. And if we do, we have a good chance against Newcastle because, well, there's probably no more important pitch than the middle of the pitch, is there? Let's be fair. It's a vital area, and it's the hub of the action, so to speak. Um, as I say, it's easy to concentrate on our weak areas, but let's have a look at. All right, let's have a look at the fullbacks. Well, actually, whilst I don't think Ryan Fredericks is the best footballer in the world, and his limitations are have been frequently mentioned by me. I do think he's quick. I do think he's got some recovery pace. I do think with Jared Bowen in front of him will provide some protection. Which brings us on to Bowen himself. Bowen looks ready. Bowen looks poised. Bowen looks really up for having a good Premier League season and proving himself to be one of the better players in the Premier League. When he came in last season, it was a firefighting job to be done. It wasn't. It was quite funny what Moyes said about him. He said we can't rely on a guy from the Championship to save us from relegation. Moyes' words. But also Moyes' words where he quite liked the idea of buying players from the Championship. So the truth was probably somewhere in between. But Bowen had a firefighting job to do, and he'd come from Hull in difficult circumstances. He's been able to press the reset button now. He looked good last season when he came to us. He looked really good in pre-season. In many respects, the only good player against Bournemouth. Sorry. So, I say that Cullen was good as well. We'll get to him in a second. We got a lot to look forward to there, and it don't take much. Let's be fair. If Souček, if Rice, if Bowen, and if Antonio are all playing well, then we're going to have a good day. I'm not saying necessarily win, but it's not going to be a terrible performance from us. You only need a few more around, start doing things. Now, I would expect. I don't expect to see Anderson play on the left wing. I expect to see Fornals play on the left wing. Is it ideal? No. I think we need a winger there, and I don't want to go in too much into, well, at all. I don't want to go to the Diangana thing at all. Is it ideal for Fornals to play there? No. But it was effective last season. After lockdown and the resumption of football, it might not have been what we wanted, but it was okay there. Because he is going to provide protection to whoever's playing fullback. I guess it will be Aaron Cresswell. The reports of Fabianski's demise have been quite frequent. He's not the goalkeeper he once was, and so on and so forth. Yes, but but I still think he's a very, very good keeper. He may well surprise a few people. He needs to stay fit. We need him in goal because I think the options aside from him are not great. So we need him there, and we need a good Fabianski, and I do still think Fabianski is a fantastic shot stopper. So I think that's reasons to be cheerful. Ogbonna's one of the best centre backs in the Premier League. I firmly believe that. When he's in our team, he's a hammer. So I think it's easy to concentrate on the negatives and not really look at the positives, but I think we've got an awful lot going for us. And I also think that actually I would quite like to see a bit of Cullen off the bench. And I hope he's on the bench. I think Moyes needs to look at that situation and think, well, if Wilshire's not part of his long-term plans, which clearly he's not, because the club are trying to offload him and get his wages away, then Cullen really needs to be involved. I'd like to see him feature off the bench because he's a good player. He can help control the midfield. If, by the grace of God or whatever, we go into the lead, he's going to retain the ball. He's going to keep possession, make it more difficult for the opposition to get the football. And then all I can then hope is other people that come off the bench are motivated. What I don't want to see is if Lanzini or Felipe Anderson come off the bench, the hunched shoulders, the lackadaisical attitude. But we're not in control of that. And I'm not going to start saying that there are positives because they might. But I just mean, from my own perspective, my own point of view, whilst I'm not particularly confident that West Ham are going to be brilliant, and I am approaching the start of the season with a certain amount of trepidation, given the fixture list and all the nasty hard teams we got to play, we're not a terrible team. Not only are we not a terrible team, I actually thought towards the end of last season we were quite a good team, a big threat from many many different angles, particularly set plays. All right, not great. Um, you know, a bit of a big Sam team in that sense. Not great, but it's something, and we'll take something at the moment. But something I touched on in the preview when I was speaking to Gio, what is pivotal for us to become that team that we saw at the tail end of last season, the team with everything that I said, with everybody being playing at their peak for all the players I mentioned, the coaching staff are going to have got a pivotal role to play in bringing everybody up and lifting the morale. It's easy. I almost said then, if the rumours are to be believed that the players are unhappy, they're not even rumours. The moment Mark Noble came out and did what he did, tweeted what he tweeted, he made it clear that they were unhappy. So what the coaching staff have got to do is lift everybody to get to that level so everybody is positive. But when I say lift everybody, I sort of checked myself there as I said it. Because it's not lift everybody. Because there are some players I don't think need lifting because actually they manage it themselves. And the irony is, I think they're largely the players I've just mentioned. I don't think. I get the impression, I don't know, that all this stuff, this Diangana stuff and everything else, I reckon it hasn't affected Mikel Antonio. I reckon we'll still get the same performance out of him that we got post-lockdown. All this Diangana stuff, I reckon that won't affect Jared Bowen. I reckon we'll get exactly the same performance from him that he was giving at the tail end of last season. I think Declan Rice is so motivated in everything that he does, is so driven, which will eventually lead to him leaving West Ham. But a driven individual he is nonetheless, and I think he strives to be the best he can be and a winner. To take rejection from being dropped by Chelsea to get to where he is now, to come to our academy and work his way up. I don't think the Diangana thing will overly have affected him. Yes, he'll have endorsed and liked Mark Noble's tweet, but I don't think Moyes and Nolan have got an awful lot to do with to motivate Declan Rice. I think Souček's a captain. He's captain of his country, right? He was captain of Slavia Prague. Very motivated. We know everybody's heard his interviews. He's desperate to be here. He's desperate to be a success in the Premier League. A very, very driven player. Is Ogbonna going to be sulking because of Diangana? I can't see it. In fact, in many respects, the people that are going to be affected most by upheaval at the club, it's not just Diangana, it's everything surrounding the club. It's all the negativity. The people that are probably affected most by it are the players that we think are quite flaky anyway. They're players like Jens Lensing, they're players like Felipe Anderson. I think those are the guys who are possibly impacted most by it. Because actually, the people that are really determined, people like Antonio, I think they'll just get out there and play. And I'll tell you now, if they're on form, and I think they are, and Antonio's motivated, and Declan Rice is motivated, and Bowen and Souček and Ogbonna, and I think they all are, then it might, just might, not be as bad as we think.